NFR Extra is a weekly podcast that focuses on the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons that embody the rodeo and Western lifestyle.
They dropped everything at Vegas and they helped tend to me. And I just told them that I don't want to just come back and kind of inch back into it. And, I said, I want to come back swinging and throwing punches. But I think the emotional, heartfelt pain when it happened hurt the most, just knowing that I wasn't going to be able to finish out the 10th round. One of my mentors, Rex Dunn, years ago, he told me, life's hardships and trials are like a flat tire. And you can get out and throw dirt and kick it and get all upset, or you can get out and change it and move forward.
Hi, this is Penn and Teller, and you're listening to NFR Extra, but I've been known to lie.
So, Dusty, you've had lots of great moments in this sport, but one that you probably want to forget, but I know everybody's asked you about. Tell us a little bit about the accident at the finals.
Yeah, this last year at the finals, during the 9th round, I stepped in just kind of normal routine to fill a gap between a bull and a bull rider. And, they always say it's been a game of inches, and bull swung around to hook at me, and he really reached out with his front feet. And when he did, he stepped on the side of my leg, making it a displaced fracture of the tib fibula and a slight bone come out of the shin part of the skin. And it was one of them deals that kind of a freak deal, but, I knew instantly that this wasn't something that I could necessarily shake off. Just the angle. And as soon as I felt the weight of the bull's leg on my leg, I was really trying to roll my knee towards the ground. That way it'll allow my leg to bend like it's supposed to. But everything happened so fast and so quick in those moments. And it was a split second deal, and just, it's part of it though. It's definitely something in your career you look at and you're like, kind of like, dang it, I'm going to have to overcome this. But immediately I looked at it like, I know I'm going to have a challenge in front of me. But I'm speaking life in this, and I know God's got a purpose in mind through it all. So that was just really my mindset through it all of being able to overcome and come back and try to come back better than I ever was. So
I've hit my shin on a coffee table and got a little gaggy before, so I could only imagine how horrendous something like that would feel. But for those of us that, follow you on social media, your work ethic has got to be second to none. So when that happened, I know that you had to have, oh my gosh, this is not good. Were you already thinking about how I'm going to recover from this? Or was that something, you've been at the NFR, 13 times?
Yeah.
Was it one of those things like, oh, this is it, this is how it ends? Or is this something where you were like, all right, man, here we go?
No, it wasn't nothing of really any negative thought. Obviously, the sheer fact of knowing that, we're going to have some challenges ahead of us. But I was okay with that. I was accepting of it right away. And, as soon as it happened, I just really started speaking life on my leg and praying on it, just believing that, I was going to be back for the 10th round, and that's just kind of just really what I wanted to feed my mind. I wanted to stay positive and look at this as like, this is just going to be part of my story. And looked at it as a challenge of, life's all about highs and lows. And I think, our true character can be defined and really exposed through these seasons that you go through an injury. And the sport of rodeo, it can be a game of injuries. And, I've really admired a lot of close friends through my career that I've seen battle and overcome and come back. And I looked at it like, hey, this is the hand I'm dealt, and, I'm going to play it to win. And, so definitely right out of the gate, I was thinking that, we're going to get a work regimen put together. I'm going to get with the right trainers, with the Justice Sports Medicine team and all those doctors and therapists that meant to us all year long. They were on board with me right out of the gate. And I was ready to hit the ground running, really. It was a process. There were a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Definitely some U-turns, but ultimately, I know kind of what I was hearing right out of the gate for a long time, and they were saying anything from 6 months to a year of me being out, and I wasn't going to accept that. I was determined to come back quicker and sooner than that. I truly believe God had a plan and purpose through this, and I was just going to keep feeding my faith, keep feeding my mind, and obviously putting the right nutrition and value into my body as well, and my workouts and the time that I was putting in behind this. And like I said before, I knew it was going to be a rocky road and definitely a mountain to climb, but I was definitely up for the challenge.
What were the emotions coming back to the Thomas and Mack for round 10?
It was, I don't even know if I can, I think I was still a little loopy from all the anesthesia, but I was just really determined to get back that night. I knew there was probably no way possible once I got there that they were, I asked one of the trainers if they'd let me go down to the fence and watch it, but they denied that pretty quick.
Jeez, man.
I don't know if they thought maybe I'd try to crash in there or whatever, but it was really overwhelming. I mean, the great thing about it was just all the staff there, the shape that I was in, they made it so easy for me to get down there. They had me pull up front. They had wheelchair waiting and at the elevator, and they got me down in there and was taking care of me. But there's a lot of high emotions there, just definitely because, I think obviously the physical pain of that injury was all there for sure. But I think the emotional, heartfelt pain when it happened hurt the most, just knowing that I wasn't going to be able to finish out the 10th round. And so just being there, it was great to be there to see them guys. And I was just making a point that, regardless of what these doctors are saying, staying here, I was going to show them that, I may not be able to be there in the arena with you guys, but I'm going to show up and show you that, show them guys that I do care and that I'm going to do everything in my power to get back and get right and get back in the arena with them.
Okay. So fast forward now to this recovery process. And I'll be honest, when they told me when you came back, I was nervous for you. Okay. So, I mean, obviously with the advances in today's modern medicine and your workout regimens, there are guys that can come back sooner than what doctors say, but there was never any doubt in your mind the first time you stepped back in the arena.
No, there truly wasn't. And the reason behind that, I think, has a lot to do with my faith and believing and trusting in the process. I definitely dug into the word a lot more, a lot of motivational stuff, a lot of great testimonies through this. But, I was listening to a deal from Kobe Bryant, kind of at the beginning of it. And he says, confidence comes from preparation, no confidence. And I just took a hold of that. I was like, what, that's definitely how I felt that I've lived my life in my career to the most part. And, what good is it to put all this work in if I'm not going to trust it and utilize it when I get back in that arena? So, you got to maximize your time, but also, like I said, trust the process. So we spent countless hours. I got with Kevin Taylor, physical therapist out of Oklahoma City with Justin sports medicine program. And we hit the ground running. I told him if I needed to be there 7 days a week, 24/7, I would be. And, he's been with me for probably 10 or 12 years, and he's helped nurse me back from numerous injuries. So he had an idea of the work capacity that I had, the mindset that I had going behind it. So, and he pushed me and he pushed me hard. And there's a lot of kind of seemed like pointless days, but I knew there was a reason behind what he was giving me and what the doctors were saying. So I just kept trusting what he was saying and giving me and trusting my doctor and just kept putting in the work. So obviously, I didn't really have necessarily a clear vision of a timeline when I was going to be back. I definitely had a bit of an idea within 3 or 4 weeks. And, but I was just really focusing on the task at hand and not so much the end point, but just really trying to maximize my time through the process. And, there was definitely, days that were harder than others. And there was definitely some rodeos that I was hoping to be back for sooner than later. And I think a lot of, people that knew me, I think they were a bit nervous that I was going to try to come back too early and push it too soon. But I just knew the severity of this injury, that I definitely need to let that bone heal, and I definitely need to get some strength back in my leg before I could go do my job and do it effectively. And
Right.
I told some family friends and John and Carla Harrison at the beginning. They dropped everything at Vegas and they helped tend to me, and I just told them that I don't want to just come back and kind of inch back into it and slowly get back to where I was. I said I want to come back swinging and throwing punches, and so that was motivation through the process, as well as I was getting in the dirt well over a month before I actually went to my first rodeo. So, from obviously starting slow, just to being in the dirt, to working the dummy, to working Mexican cows, to actual bulls. And so I had a handful of, purse and cattle sessions in me before I even went to Reno. So I kind of had a good idea of what my leg was feeling like and how it was feeling after. But, so I was confident enough going into Reno that I would hold up. The only thing that I wasn't sure of was how sore I would get, because Reno's 10 days and we start out day number 1 with an extreme bulls, and so we'll buck 50-60 bulls that first day. So I knew it would hold up and I knew it was solid. I just wasn't sure the pain that it was going to give me throughout the week and a half rodeo there in Reno. But it was actually the perfect rodeo to come back to. For one, I got to test it in every situation. But for two, obviously we had the Justice Sports Medicine team there, and one of the trainers there, Tony, his clinic was right there. So I got to get up, work out every day in the morning, and then get treatment from him, and then also get treatment at that night. So I had great hands-on with me the whole 2 weeks I was there. And I knew after that first night, after fighting about 60 bulls, and it held up good through the bull riding and felt pretty solid. And then the next, test was how I was going to feel when I woke up the next morning. And jumped out of bed and felt pretty dang good. And I was like, we've made it. Now let's just keep focusing on being consistent and getting better and keep improving and don't settle for where I'm at now. Just continue to work hard.
That's awesome.
How long until you started your recovery process?
Well, it was kind of hit a bit of a U-turn. I had my first surgery in Vegas, the day after, and everything seemed like it went well and good. And, get almost to Christmas, get at the 2-week mark, and it was Christmas Eve. And I went and saw Tandy, and he got me out of my cast, put me in a walking boot, not to walk, but be able to where I could take it on and off and shower and, start doing some minor therapy, range of motion of the knee, ankle, and hip, and then starting to work my upper body in that. And I was definitely looking forward to that. I got there, we got exchanged, and I almost felt like a new man. I almost felt like, hey, I'm going to be back for Fort Worth. It was just my mindset. And we get into about 4 or 5 days, and I'm a pretty big advocate of my nutrition and fitness, and I just, for some reason, it still just didn't feel right for me to get right back in the gym. But I was doing my range of motion stuff, and about 3 or 4 days doing that, I remember taking my foot out of my boot, and I felt some movement in my leg, and I was like, wait a minute. So I put it back in the boot and took it back out, and then I could see it too. And I just didn't think that was part of this process. I just, I'm not a doctor, but I just didn't think with a rod and hardware in there that it should be moving at all. And so I reached out to Tandy and some doctors and trainers. And long story short of that, I ended up going to see the doctor earlier, about a week after that, because we were coming into the New Year's. And, I knew instantly when he come into the doctor's office there, after looking at the x-rays, that the news that he's fixing to give me wasn't what I was wanting to hear. And he walked in there and said, man, you need to redo it. He said, it's not lined up that great. He said, there's obviously movement in the leg. And, he said, my advice would be to have it redone, go in, put a bigger rod and more supporting screws and line it up better. And that took the wind out of my sails. It was definitely, I felt like I was fixing to start all over again, almost a month into my recovery. And, the thing that I think hurt the worst of that was everything was still so fresh in my mind, from the surgery and all the aches and pains. And I was just starting to get over the majority of those pains. And so I kind of had, I guess you could say, a bit of a pity party for a couple hours on the way home. And I was talking to some family and friends and kind of seeing what I wanted to do. And I really didn't even want to deal with it at that moment. And, one of my mentors, Rex Dunn, years ago, he told me, life's hardships and trials are like a flat tire. And you can get out and throw dirt and kick it and get all upset, or you can get out and change it and move forward. And, as soon as that thought come over me, I was like, man, it was like Rex himself told that to me. And I was like, that's right. That's what we're going to do. And so I got on the phone with some family members and we got a hold of a family doctor that actually fixed a similar injury in one of my family members' legs, like mine, and went there and saw him first thing the next morning. And about 4 days later, I got in for the second surgery, and they took all that hardware out, went in, put a bigger rod, and lined it up better and more supporting screws. And instantly, I just felt how much more stable and stronger it was. And so, yeah, I looked at it as a blessing. Like, we hit the ground running, and we got a good doc, and he fixed us up, and now we're back on the grind. We tried to get derailed, but I wasn't going to accept that. And I still believed at that moment that, I'm still going to be able to come back quicker than anybody thought. Was going to continue to trust the process. And, I'm a firm believer of what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I looked at it as a kind of the 10,000 step process. And, the steps that I didn't take that day, I was going to have to take, in future tomorrows. So I just really try to maximize my time, focus on the task at hand, not try to think about too far up the road and all the rodeos I was missing. Even though that would cross my mind, that with the Cowboy Channel and everything, I was grateful and thankful to be able to see everybody back to the full winter rodeos. And, but it was kind of a blessing and a curse having that channel. I was excited for them, but I was a little bummed, but I just use that for motivation to continue to work hard and know that each day that I would put my best foot forward, that it was going to pay off in the long run and be able to get me back in the arena sooner than later.
In more than 3 decades in Vegas, 360 world champions have struck gold. None have won more titles than the 3 that make up the inaugural Vegas NFR Icons class. Banners for Trevor Brazile, Charmaine James, and Ty Murray will be permanently lifted to the rafters at the Thomas & Mack Center. And on December 1st, all 3 will be honored at a tribute luncheon at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Get your tickets now. Go to nfrexperience.com/NFR Vegas Icons for details.
What was the support like from your contemporaries, from the rest of the bullfighters?
Man, it was truly amazing. Just humbling and overwhelming. From the bullfighters to anybody, everybody reached out and everything that everybody did. But it was just the camaraderie with the group of guys that I get to run with and work majority of my rodeos with is just amazing. It's second to none. These guys have, kept in touch with me. Obviously they'd come over, see me and give me a hand if I needed it. And, obviously, when we started getting to the process or to the point to where I could start moving around and getting back in the dirt, one of my closest friends, Nathan Harp, he was dang sure checking on me, about every day, if not every other day. And, he kept telling me, man, I got the dummy waiting and ready for you when you're ready. So as soon as I could get around in the dirt pretty good, and, I went up and saw Harp, and, we started getting around the bullfighting dummy and just started, just getting back in the timing, getting back in the maneuvers and just getting the mind settled and getting it right. And, I was definitely trying to push myself each time I would get in there to see where I was at, but also keep record of kind of where I was from the last time and improvements, take notes of improvements that I need to work on, and whether it's leg strength or mobility or my speed and agility or whatever it was. So it was great to have those guys. I'd go down to Cody Webster's as well. He's got a lot of fighting cattle. So we go down there and get in front of some of the Mexican cows, and just getting in front of live cattle is a big deal. Is, I think that's part of getting back to where you need to be is, everybody's a little different. Some will just step back in the arena without that kind of prep work. But I felt that I not only owed it to myself, but those that, trust in me to keep them safe in that arena is I need to put in the time outside of an actual live event before I get back in there and just, get the rust knocked off, see where I can improve and grow. And so as I was doing that over the month of May, I was obviously taking notes and seeing my progression. And that's when I really got settled towards the middle to third week of May, where I had a really good idea where I was going to come back. And so then I actually, before Reno, I went up to the Cody, Wyoming, where I'm from. Maury and Nikki Tate do the night rodeo up there. So I went up there a few weeks before Reno, and allowed me to get in the dirt every day and work some performances and get in front of some bulls and just really have that kind of that live atmosphere, that actual performance-based environment, and getting back in there and getting around them bulls and that, and everything was, like I said, I still had some aches and pains and whatnot during that time, but I knew the strength and stability that I had in my leg was going to be able to hold up and give me definitely the confidence that I needed to go in to get the full summer run rolling.
So let's focus on a positive memory from the NFR. When you think about, somebody that's been there 13 times, do you think of saves that you guys have made as a team, or do you think of great bull rides? What stands out more to you, Dusty?
Man, you talk about the NFR, there's just so many things that can come to mind, and I can take an hour to just talk through them all. But, obviously definitely the camaraderie amongst the guys that I've got to work with, to be in there. And yes, the things that you do prevent and the saves that you do make and the teamwork, the chemistry that you guys can put forth in that arena for sure, is definitely highlights. And there's just so many reels that flash through my mind right now. But definitely a lot of the bull rides too. I've got to witness some of what I think are some of the greatest bull rides that I've ever went, from Ken and AC. My first year, he won, he's my best friend. We grew up rodeoing together. He won the average that year, and he finished it off with a 93-point bull ride on 4L Diamond S's, a big iron. And then a couple years later, another one of my good friends, J.W. Harris, rides Smokescreen of Frontier Rodeo Companies for 94.5. And then you go into Sage Kimsey riding Bruiser for 94.5. And then last year, watching Stetson Wright ride Chiseled of D&H's for 94 and 94.5 again. And, being just a fan of the sport, and there's not a bad seat in that arena at the Thomas and Mack, experiencing that from many levels great, but being eye level with that and feeling that energy in that place is definitely something that I'll always remember. But I guess some of the things that one of my first, biggest memories from there was actually, it wasn't even a year that I was working. Cannon, he actually made the NFR in 2007, his first time, and I went down there with him to spend the whole time with him. And I remember sitting up there and every performance in section 109 row R, just looking down there, just believing that one day I'd get the chance to be down in that dirt. And it's kind of funny, now every day that I got to step into that arena, I look up there at section 109 and row R and just grateful and thankful for being able to be down in that dirt, and just remember, where I've come from, and just know that, I got to keep working hard and putting forth the work and effort each and every day, and focusing on the rodeos in front of me. And definitely always reflect back to those moments.
So the first year you made it to the NFR, which would so-called be the rookie year, did you get the prank? I have to ask. Or have you played the pranks on the new bullfighters?
Man, yeah, I think there's been pranks kind of every year, whether you're the rookie or the older guy. Now it's been to a point now where, a lot of times I just let it go in one ear and out the other. But I know that first year that, they tried hazing me a little bit, but man, I was just so excited, and it really didn't matter what they did. Like, they hid my vest, they hid my gear bag and that. And I was just like, it don't matter. I don't put my trust in my vest or my equipment. Like, if you guys want to hide it, that's fine. But yeah, we definitely harass everybody. But on the other side of that, just talking about the camaraderie of the group of bullfighters, I can remember my first year there. I got to experience with, Daryl Diefenbach. He made it, he worked it 12 times. And, he told me when I first got there, he said, hey, enjoy it, focus on fighting bulls. He said, I'll make sure to get you everywhere you need to be, all your meetings, all the performances and everything. So that was definitely a blessing, him just taking me under his wing and let me really just enjoy the moments that those 2 weeks offer you. And that's one thing that I've really tried to carry on from what Deep did for me is some of the younger guys or the new guys that have come in, and which are some of my best friends and some of the best bullfighters in the world, just telling them the same thing is, hey, there's going to be a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of days here. I said, but enjoy it. I'll make sure you're at all your meetings and check-ins and everything, and we may harass you a little bit on the way or pull some pranks on the way, but we'll make sure you're at where you need to be. So just go have fun, have fight bulls, and really enjoy it.
Well, when you talk about younger guys, just be careful with Harp because he tried hustling me the other day in ping pong. So don't.
Oh yeah, that's Harp. He likes some ping pong. He's competitor.
he was good at it too. That southpaw threw me off.
Oh yeah, old southpaw.
Throughout this whole conversation is, you keep saying your faith and everything like that. Where did that come from?
Man, just God. Ultimately, it was. My whole testimony, it kind of just reflects back to rodeo. And, I know at a young age, I had some scholarship opportunities to go play football, and just kind of a long story short on it. I battled some adversity when I was 15. I got in a really bad wreck fighting bulls. And, coming up to that point in my life, I can honestly say I didn't know what fear was or nerves or being anxious or any anxiety was. I grew up with two older brothers that, one was 4 years older than me and one was 9, and I always wanted to be a part of what they were doing. And so I kind of had to earn my keep around them. So I kind of grew up, the school of hard knocks. But that turning point in my life when I was 15, it really opened my eyes what the sport can and could do to me. And for the first time, fear really struck my life. And a lot of people don't know that story of my life. But, for the next year and a half, I definitely fought a lot of head games, and honestly, it was close to derailing me from even trying to pursue rodeo and fighting bulls as a career. And I can remember there was a rodeo Bible camp shortly after that, and I was just going to it just to try to overcome this fear and get back to try to fight bulls and try to pursue it as a career. At that young age, I didn't know what it was going to be at that point, but I just went in there with the mindset of trying to get better and fighting bulls. And ultimately it was definitely a game changer, a whole life change. I received Jesus into my life, and that was a real big turning point, just knowing, that I had a purpose, what I was capable of doing, and the how much control we can have over our mind once we, understand and believe in the process and trust what's ahead. So that was really the whole game changer. And that's, I've told a lot of people for a lot of years is I truly feel this is where God has me in life, is in the rodeo world. And that's what I just keep manifesting on, keep chewing on. I think through those hardships, looking back after this injury to my first big injury when I was 15, I think it helped prepare me for this one, because I've already experienced that. I was put in the hospital, and so I already had a bit of an idea of what it was like to go through that. And at that point in my life, it was definitely more difficult. But with my faith coming into this one, it was just something that obviously really helped keep me motivated. And, the word tells us that, the testing of our faith produces that endurance. And it's the same way with our physical side. Is the more we train, the more we work out physically and mentally, the stronger we're going to be, and the more calloused mind that we're going to have to be able to push through and endure whatever life throws at us. And, so like I said, it was in a sense, I was kind of excited to see this challenge. I knew it was going to be kind of a bummer not being able to, get back to the winter rodeos. And, I was 2 winters now of missing my winter rodeos, but I was definitely looking forward to the challenges, looking forward to the hard days, and wasn't going to let it define me. I wanted to be an inspiration and a motivator through this. And I've told myself, from the start of this is, if me going through this can uplift, inspire, or motivate somebody in their life in one way or another, that it was totally worth it. And that was just the mindset that I want to have through it. And that just helped kind of push me through it.
So to bring all this together, Dusty, there's some really, really talented young guys out there. I mean, very, very talented. But you and I both know, especially through your recovery process, that talent means nothing if you don't work at it. So what advice would you give to some of these young up-and-coming bullfighters and just people in rodeo in general about talent and work ethic?
I've said for a long time is, the only person that'll keep you from doing something is yourself. And, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So I try to keep it pretty simple on that side of it, and let people know that, hey, I was once that young kid, and I'm still feel like I'm that young kid just pursuing and chasing a dream. And you can definitely achieve and accomplish more if you just trust and believe in yourself and continue to work hard and put forth the effort. So anybody that comes up to me, whether it's a younger guy or whatever, is I definitely try to tell them that hey, you've got a body, you've got the materials, you've got the everything in front of you, and there's definitely, I feel God's given us all different gifts in different areas in our life, and it's up to us to figure out what those are and polish them. So that's, another thing I've said a lot is there may be somebody better than me, but it's on me to not let anybody outwork me. And that's, I think that's 100% on whoever the individual is. And that's the mindset that I really try to have each and every day, working up or waking up and working out or watching what I eat, the right nutrition, getting in the video and the film sessions, and, just putting everything I can into this because, truly I feel this is part of my plan God has for my life. And I need to be able to be the very best version of myself each and every day, inside and outside of that arena. And also surrounding yourself around those like-minded people. The old saying is, if you hang around 4 successful people, you'll be the 5th. And, going back to the camaraderie with the bullfighting group, Webb, Harp, and Nate, and Weston, and everybody, we stay in contact each and every day pretty much, and sending videos and sending workouts and holding each other accountable. And not only them holding me accountable, you got to hold yourself accountable yourself and be able to continue to put forth that work and that effort in each and everything you do every day.
Dusty, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been awesome. And we appreciate everything you do for our industry, and keep being an inspiration for everybody out there. Man,
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You bet.
See you back in the Thomas and Mack, huh, bud?
That's the goal, but I got to focus on Friday night in Ellensburg first.
Day at a time.
We'll safe travels, brother.
Yeah, we'll see y'all.
See you, Dusty.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit NFRexperience.com, and we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.